Well, let's get it going.
No regrets, man. We ain't going back on this. I don't care what happens. This is the Brews and Bros podcast. I'm your host, Brendan.
I'm Brandon.
And we're here to deliver some more sweet music to your ear holes. I mean, it's not music, it's a podcast, but, same diff. It's vocal, it's vibrations, good vibrations, bad vibrations, any kind of vibration.
I was going to say, it could be any kind of vibration you want it to be.
It's sonically here for you. Whether you like my voice, my lisp, or Brandon's voice, it don't matter. You know why? Because we ain't going nowhere.
At least I don't think I'm going nowhere.
I hope I don't go. Get recruited by NASA, go to the moon.
Yeah, wouldn't that be something? You get an email and you're just like, whatever. You ignore it for a couple of days. Next thing you know, you get a on your door. Are you Mr. So-and-so? Yeah, what about it? And they're just like, oh, we're from NASA. We sent you an email a couple of days. Are you ready? Ready for what? You're going to the moon, bitch.
Why?
It doesn't matter, and they just, knock your ass out.
They hit you with that, you signed the terms and conditions. You're like, I didn't read those. Well, you should have. Put a bag over your head.
And they just suffocate you, just drag you out.
They don't tell you, but it's called the Challenger 3.0, and you're like, oh, no. I've heard stories about this Challenger business.
The last Challenger that NASA had an unfortunate smelting accident.
Depending who you ask. Evidently, I don't know if you've heard about this, but there's a group of flat earthers.
Oh, the flat earthers who...
They think that was fake and staged and that every astronaut is
alive.
Well, it's fake and they don't actually exist. Because they were like, Neil Armstrong, Neil A., that backwards is alien. And I'm like, all right, you have way too much free time. And even if it was fake and staged, it has no bearing on my life. I don't care.
I don't mind. I think space is cool.
They say the government's lying. I don't care. Like, if they're lying, guess what? That's fine. I'm watching Netflix. They're gonna put you in a FEMA camp. Okay, if that happens, I'm okay. Sorry.
Yeah, I don't know about being put in a FEMA camp. The last time the government fucked with FEMA, it didn't go very well.
Nothing.
Kanye West said George Bush hates black people. And Mike Myers had to stand there, and he was like, please get me out of here right now. He's like, I do not want to deal with this.
Oh, 2004 was a good time.
It was early 2000s were wild, man. They had that show Wife Swap. I don't understand I can understand, the concept of that show, and then, you being like, yeah, that seems like a pretty good idea. Grab two random families from, different walks of life from the country. Let's swap their wives. But then you have to think about it, and it's like, okay, most guys in this world probably get fairly jealous. So not only are you having to screen all of these families, but then you're having to find the guys who are probably cucks, and they're like, yeah, send my wife somewhere else. I want to know if that guy fucks her and his hand is in his pants. And they're like, sir, what are you doing? Stop. And he's like, oh, yeah, that's great.
That's what we need. Oh, my gosh.
And then, next thing that guy knows is his wife is flying to Louisiana, and she's eating gator tots.
Gator tots.
That was an episode, I swear to God. The mom went down to Louisiana. The kid had a mullet.
No, I think the only episode that I remember, and it's just because it's all over the internet, is the one where the kid doesn't want to play by the rules. So he packs his little suitcase, gets his little toy, and says, you'll never see this face again, as he's walking.
But I love chicken nuggets.
And the camera crew's just filming him walk off.
You know what'd be super fucked up is if that kid actually did run away, and that scene of him walking down the street was the last scene footage of that kid.
Like an intervention that just goes black.
So they're still looking for that kid to this day.
He's on the milk carton.
That'd be so fucked up. That family's like, yo, this television show ruined our life. Our kid is gone, and it's your fault. It's your fault. You watched him go away, and you filmed it, you fucking creature.
Can you imagine being that cameraman to your life?
You just the guilt that he probably fucking hung himself.
You gotta be on camera for another interview, and your face is all blurred out like, yeah, I'll let that kid walk away.
He pulls out a Glock and he's like, this is my problem solver right here.
But that wasn't really a problem. I was just filming. I didn't know where he was going.
I was told by the director.
They said they don't touch no bodies. And I said, hey.
He said, all right, dude, I'm not trying to touch no fucking hillbilly kid.
I said, just take it and go on. But with all that, how have you been, B?
Oh, not too bad. Trying to figure out what the hell I'm going to do with my life still. It's an ongoing process that I do not care about anymore.
Have you ever tried just freeloading?
Yeah, all the time. I wish I could freeload off of anybody that I've ever met. Like partially, like there are some people who I would feel really like guilty for freeloading off of. Probably after a couple of hours, right. I'd be like, yeah, I don't know, man. Like this sounded like a good idea in practice, but like now it's just kind of like I shouldn't have done that. Fuck. But then there are other people where it's like, dude, I'll freeload off of you for the rest of my life, and I'll send you fucking feet pictures. I don't care.
If they can make money off it for you, like, all right, man, you better make with the feet pics. Like what's that movie? Is that Silence of the Lambs? It's like, man, you better put your lotion on your skin.
You put the lotion on his skin or he gets the hose again.
And then they did that in Joe Dirt. Yeah. And he's like, where's my auto trader?
And he was like, that's a 79 Trans Am.
Put the lotion on your skin.
He's like, damn, I've already put enough on. Calm down.
Oh, man.
Joe Dirt, honestly, I think it's one of those movies. It's kind of like Napoleon Dynamite, where it's like not necessarily an unknown movie. Most people obviously know about Joe Dirt and Napoleon Dynamite, and it's one of those things where it's like, I think those are two movies where it's like I've either watched them one time and I hated it both times, or I've seen that movie 6,000 times in the last week, and it will never not be funny to me.
I understand.
Because that's how I feel about Napoleon Dynamite. Yep. I love Napoleon Dynamite. I could watch that movie every day for the rest of my life, and I'd probably never get bored with it.
And it's probably one of the most easily quotable movies, too.
By far.
It's just so simple, so basic, and you can tell it was made with the intention of, yeah, this is just how we grew up. Just a couple guys that are like, this is the stupid stuff that happened in the little middle of nowhere town I grew up in.
Yeah, and it's like, it's one of those things where it's like, people are weird all over, but like, that movie really proves that there's some guy out there who,
thinks he can throw a football over the mountains.
Yeah.
Could have taken steak.
And then he just rockets that steak at Napoleon. Every time I watch it, I'm like, dude. And then okay, what's really funny about that is he throws that steak at Napoleon and then has the audacity to be like, yeah, we can't go out, we can't do this anymore. We're running out of steak. It's like, well, maybe you wouldn't have run out of steak had you not fucking rocketed Kips at fucking at Napoleon.
Hey, Kip. Check this out. Jeez. And if you guys haven't seen Napoleon Dynamite, just go watch it. It's probably really cheap to find now.
Yeah, I was going to say, personally, I recommend the movie by far. It's, like I said, it's hands down one of my favorite movies.
It's definitely not for everybody because it is that dry humor. And it's just like those little things that you're like, oh my gosh.
It's kind of like, it's almost like cringy at times. Like if you're not paying attention to it and you're like,
it's that film that's made by a group of friends that they all thought something was funny, and so they put it into a movie.
Yeah, it was almost like something that probably would have been like a really like a really great high school like film project, but then they were like thinking about it, and they were like, you know what? No, more people need to hear this story.
And what's funny about it is, so it was pretty much a college film project essentially that went to Sundance, from my understanding, and they didn't have too much money for it. So if you watch the movie, because the guy who played Napoleon, John Heder, I think is how it's pronounced, they had to like use a perm for his hair, but they could only do it once. So they were told not to wash his hair during all of filming. So as it goes on, if you watch the movie, you can see webs in his hair and like flies around his head because his hair stinks. And they could only afford one block of government cheese. And rather than just waste it, there's a scene where he's talking to Napoleon on the phone about chapstick. And if you watch the background, the nachos he's making, every time the camera goes back on him, the plate gets more and more cheese. Because they just used the whole block in between. Because they were like, what are we going to do with this government cheese? Oh, I know. We'll just put it in a cheap gag, and if someone notices it, guess what?
Yeah, for sure. I think one of my other favorite movies by those same guys is Nacho Libre.
Yes.
So I think one of the first times I'd ever seen Nacho Libre, I was kind of like, this movie's kind of like,
just like Napoleon Dynamite. The first time
it was kind of weird, and I was like, all right, whatever. But then like years went by, and one of my buddies was like, bro, you ever seen that movie Nacho Libre? And I was like, nah, yeah, not in a long time. And he starts talking about it, and oh my god, I couldn't stop laughing. I just thought it was the fight. So I was like, dude, I gotta find this movie, and I gotta watch it again. And I ended up watching it. over and over and over again.
It's one of those movies,
It's just so stupid, and I think it's one of those movies, like, especially with Jack Black specifically. It's just, I think had that movie had anybody else except Jack Black in it, it probably wouldn't have been as funny.
He wouldn't have been, because he has that personality. He can pull it off.
Yeah, he's just like that weird guy who you don't really like know what the hell is he like. You don't know what he's gonna do, and I don't know. I'm not saying that Jack Black is, you know, an A-list actor and that guy is, you know, the greatest thing in sliced bread. I mean, like, look at the character he played in Tropic Thunder, for instance.
Right.
His character in Tropic Thunder, I think, is again, it's one of those characters that only could have been played by Jack Black. Because
he does it, man. He's just, that's his personality. It's funny. Like that's how I feel about that movie, Clerks, by Kevin Smith, because if you've ever worked a job and how to deal with people, like, that's the movie you should watch, just because it's like, yeah, people are just that stupid and work sucks that much. Your boss can be a turd. Yeah, well, that's just what happens. And so, you know, Clerks is a great movie. And speaking of great movies.
I don't know if you've heard about this. I do not know if you've heard about this yet, or if you've spent a lot of time on the internet. But do you know who Will Smith is?
I may have heard of this man. Is that the one that they refer to as the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air?
Yeah, the guy was like super popular back in the 90s, has a couple of rap albums.
Made a couple movies here and there, kind of a big deal. What? Philadelphia, born and raised on the playground.
His kids are fucking weird.
Yeah, he got
I don't care what anybody says. He himself is a, you know, he a pretty wholesome character, but his kids, man, I can't stand them. I think Jaden Smith is one tweet away from being locked up in Area 51 for the rest of his life.
You mean the icon, Jaden Smith?
Yeah, that's
the Karate Kid.
That's exactly who I mean.
Karate Kid.
Poor Jackie Chan, man.
They
were like, hey, Mr. Chan, we're gonna remake the Karate Kid, and we'd like you to star in this movie. And he's like, all right, sure. It's one of my favorite pastimes. And then they're like, oh yeah, by the way, we're gonna hire Will Smith's son. Hope that's okay. I can imagine Will Smith, Jaden Smith, showing up onto the set day number 1, and everybody's getting introduced, and Jackie Chan walks up to Jaden. He's like, hello, Jaden, you know, I'm Jackie Chan, blah, blah, blah. And Jaden just goes something like this. He's like, did you know if you didn't have eyebrows, you wouldn't be here right now? And Jackie Chan is like, what?
No, and so when I think about that movie, all I can think of is old boy from Linkin Park doing that song. It's 10% skill, 20%.
Oh, Mike Shinoda?
Yeah,
that
Fort
guy?
Minor,
Fort
whatever.
Minor, yeah, dude.
Concentrated power. I'm like, little kid me was like, I am the Karate Kid, but I'm Ralph Macchio. Actually, I'm not Jaden Smith.
I'm Ralph Macchio, and I get my ass whooped by
Cobra Kai.
By 17 white kids.
So
there was the original hate crime movie.
I was gonna say Karate Kid, more like hate crime with Mr. Miyagi.
Yeah, because didn't they write a bunch of racist shit all over Mr. Miyagi's garage? Like, that's how the movie starts.
Yeah, I believe so. And if it's not, it's definitely one of those movies, because that was something that was very, you know, back in the day.
Yeah,
I mean, even still, racism still exists, but like back then they were like, hey man,
back then they were very open about who was racist.
We need to let you know that these white people are racist. How we're gonna vandalize the Asian guy's store,
everything,
and we're gonna be like, yeah, that way you know white people are racist, and so feel bad for Mr. Miyagi because he's gonna train some, like, I don't know, Ralph Macchio is what, like, I don't know what his ethnicity is. He's not white. I mean,
he could be Hispanic. I'm not 100% sure, but we're getting off topic here because I'm telling you, dude, this new movie that's coming out, I don't know if you've heard about it. All right, a little bit of pretense. You know who Disney is, right?
The guy. They have his head, and he's in a castle somewhere, right? Frozen?
Yep. All right. So think about the powerhouse that is Disney and the powerhouse that is Will Smith. Combine them, and what do you think you'd get? Probably a blockbuster hit for the next 10 years,
or an ABC sitcom, at least a family sitcom, like Fresh Prince. You know, something.
I would say that if Disney and Will Smith were to create a sitcom, that's what Blackish is.
Gotcha.
I think that's what, like, the modern day quote-unquote Fresh Prince is, more or less.
Right.
But, you ever heard of this neat-ass movie called Aladdin?
Yeah, that's the one with
Bro, let me tell you.
Baby.
Let me tell you. I haven't seen the original Aladdin, the cartoon version, in probably, I don't know, maybe 10, 15 years. So, and I'm one of those people, I honestly do not care about, like, Disney remakes, or most Disney movies in general, because it's, I'm not, like, their target audience, which is perfectly fine. Like, their movies should not be appealing to single 20-year-olds of any gender. That's fucking creepy. I do not care who you are. If you're 20-something years old and you don't have kids, and you follow Disney with your life, and you're like, this is it. That's weird. Grow up.
Disney Channel.
Yeah. It's bro, go away. Anyways, so they released the trailer for Aladdin, what now? What was it, like 2 or 3 days ago, I think? Still, I have not seen it still. Still have not watched it. I refuse to watch the trailer because I don't care about the trailer. Because all of the memes that exist.
Oh, yeah.
And it's just Will Smith. It's nothing else about the movie. It's just Will Smith.
Do you care to elaborate why it's
Okay,
Will Smith?
Let me tell you. I don't know how many people listen to this podcast right now.
The whole 10 of you. Maybe
The whole
3.
the
Me
whole-
and you and
The
your
whole
sister.
13 people that have
How
endeavored
generous. How generous.
have endeavored in the first 40 minutes of our conversations
Ah, yes.
know anything about. I just kind of lost my train of thought, if I'm being honest.
Well, if you know anything about us, or you know anything about how we feel, which you probably don't yet because it's been so recent, you know that we have a specific thing that we like to see, and it's we like things to stay true to what they should be. Stay true to yourself and how you need to be. With that being said, Aladdin is staying true to the material.
To an extent, they're like, all right, Robin Williams' character could have been black in the cartoon. Could have been black, because if there was any white person who wasn't Scarlett Johansson who could pull off being a black person,
Robert Downey Jr. in Tropic Thunder. That's how we bring it full circle.
I don't understand Disney's, I guess, their logic in deciding that, okay, like, yeah, let's revamp Aladdin, which is okay. I don't care about that. Revamp Aladdin, whatever, who cares? Cast Will Smith, whatever, who cares? But why the fuck on God's green earth did they make the genie look like fucking Kid Boo?
And if you're unaware of it, the genie is blue. And when Will Smith had first revealed what he was going to look like as a genie, it was a black guy in a blue, outfit. And people got mad that he wasn't blue. And he said, "Don't worry, the blue is coming."
And the blue came,
it came.
Everybody is just as salty. They're like, "Oh my god, why are you doing this?" It's like the Godfather meme. Look how they massacred my boy. It doesn't make any sense.
He looked like he went to the chocolate factory.
He ate the Wonka gum, the dinner gum.
And they went, "Oompa, Loompa, Will Smith, you are blue, ooh, 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 eh."
And I just, like, you'd have to think, like, I feel like as an actor or actress,
You gotta know where to draw the line.
at some point, it's not even like drawing the line about like what your character looks like in the movie. It's the fact that you took a script in, considered it, and then we're like, yeah, let's go for it. Like, okay, if you're Will Smith rich, why are you partnering with Disney for anything other than maybe a sitcom that just has your name on it because you're a producer?
He probably just honestly was like, "I'm bored."
It could be, and like I saw someone say that he was the new Nicolas Cage.
That's so disrespectful to Will Smith.
Yeah, to Will Smith, of all people, Will Smith, the one guy who most people know especially people who are our age, know him from Fresh Prince of Bel-Air,
and iRobot and I Am Legend. Probably,
I would say those three things alone.
Independence Day,
Fantastic. Independence Day, and it's he's known for all sorts of things, and now his legacy has been tarnished
by some blueface,
by some just terrible CGI.
and And that's mad disrespect. Because, I still like Will Smith, and, who knows? Maybe Will Smith will be the next one to steal the Declaration of Independence,
Who knows? Honestly, who knows? I mean, this movie could end up being fantastic. I'm not going to find out because I'm not going to go and watch it because I'm not going to be a 20-something-year-old going into a movie theater full of kids.
But you know what?
By myself. That's fucking sketchy.
I'll wait for the Redbox or the Netflix, but...
I'll wait for someone else to do that and then tell me what they thought.
But what this got me thinking about now, because we brought up Nicolas Cage,
oh no,
is I'm thinking, let's reverse the role here. I want Nicolas Cage.
If it was Nicolas Cage
as
being the genie, oh my god, that'd be so perfect.
He's rubbing the lamp and he's like, "Hey."
That would be so terrible.
I know we're living in an olden time, India, but did you want to, go and steal the Declaration of Independence in the future? 3 wishes. One of them will be for Ghost Rider 3, starring Nicolas Cage.
There's no way.
And then we'll steal the Declaration of Independence from Jafar.
I think if anything, I don't know, man. I don't get it.
How about this? Steve Buscemi
as the genie?
As the genie, just I don't tip.
That would be too much.
He's little bug eyes, man.
It'd be so gross. It would be so gross. It really would.
He looks like what are those dogs that are all shaved faces?
The shaved face dogs?
Like it's like a really skinny dog. It's just like it's all shaved and it's got like I was gonna say whiskers, but the majority of dogs do. But that's what Steve Buscemi looks like. If you know what I'm talking about, you know what he looks like. I'm just trying to think of just actors that could be Genie and they'd be like, I'd go watch this movie. Like, if they made Terry Crews blue, that probably could have worked.
I think Terry Crews I think his power that he exerts is too much for the role of the genie.
Well, that's what I think. I think Genie's supposed to be like big, and so if he's natural, but Will Smith I think Will Smith has the charisma of the genie.
But I don't think he can pull like. I'll give you that. He definitely does have the charisma of the genie. He has that enticing personality of the genie. But I think that's about it. In all honesty, I really think that is all that he has as far as that character is concerned. Now that I think about it, I don't know who the hell I would cast as the genie. Honestly, I would have been like, bro, we're not casting anybody as the genie. The genie is CGI.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. We're gonna make the genie look just like he did in the animated feature. A lot of people are either going to be upset because it's like, oh, well, if you're revamping the whole movie, why didn't you revamp Genie? But then you have a lot of those old school Disney fans who are our age or older, who are like, oh, that's nice. Like, it's nice to see that, they paid homage to Robin Williams, who most people are, that's the only Genie. They're like, Will Smith, # not my Genie.
Mm-hmm.
# Robin Williams 2020.
And I get that, but I think people need to just understand that we got to move forward with it. Like, yeah, Robin Williams was a great genie. Oh, you can't replace him. I mean, we're gonna have to because unfortunate circumstances with what Disney's trying to do. At least I get it, but we can't always win. We all like Star Wars fanboys. You have people like me who I watch the movies. I'm like, yeah, dude.
I just enjoy the movies because
I like
it's Star Wars.
Yeah, that's pretty much.
I'm like watching Star Wars and just being enthralled by this entire fantasy world.
Yeah, these places are in space and they got like lightsabers and they fighting up robots, they jacking each other up. They be going pew 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 pew.
And it's the coolest thing in the world.
Shuntun, and I'm like, yo, this is awesome. And then you got to realize that this is gonna sound, it's kind of a segue, but it makes sense. Liam Neeson was in the news about his racial comments that he made.
Super fucking racist.
And, he apologized for it. But then, it's funny because now I can't watch Star Wars without seeing him fight Darth Maul, a colored alien, without thinking, come on, man.
I'll probably think about that now for probably the next couple of times that I watch the movie. Probably just as something funny. But I think it's one of those things that in probably a year... Let's just say 2 years at the most. I'm gonna forget about it.
Yeah,
I'm not saying that
most of those
I'm not gonna say that racism is inexcusable. By any means, racism is not excusable.
Mm-hmm.
But it's just it's like, dude, I don't care anymore. I'm not gonna, I'm not gonna let
this dude is making more money than I am for me to care about him.
Yeah, it's like, dude, that's your problem. You are an adult.
And now that we're talking, I just wanted to also bring something else up that I am just kind of something that I care about, because I love music. I love hip hop specifically. Yeah, barely, sometimes. So there's that little award show, the Grammys. Now, keep in mind, if you like the artist Macklemore, if you even remember who that is, good on you.
What?
Yeah, something about a thrift shop.
Something about $20 in his pocket. That poor fuck.
And I don't know what thrift shop he went to, but in 2014, I believe, his album beat out Kendrick Lamar's "Good Kid, Mad City" for Album of the Year. Now, at that point, I stopped caring about the Grammys entirely, because I was like, what a sham. And now we look back at it, which album is still on the boards, Kendrick Lamar's "Good Kid, Mad City." Let's fast forward to this most recent Grammys. You had albums up for the Rap Album of the Year, Mac Miller's "Swimming Pools," rest in peace to Mac Miller. Then you had Travis Scott's "Astroworld," fantastic album, I loved it. Pusha T's "Daytona," in my opinion, still should have been Album of the Year. And then, you got a couple others, and you have Cardi B's album, right? And Cardi B's album won, and I'm going to say this. I think every single person that was up against it was robbed. I witnessed a live robbery on television, and here's what I'm saying. So let's fast forward a little bit. She wins the award, awesome, good for you, you won. But here's something that I think that as a producer, as an artist, as whatever you are, you're going to put something out there, you're going to get some negative feedback. It's just the way it has to be. Mm-hmm. That's the world. But if you know the risks of putting that out, and people bully you to where you're like, I'm deleting my social media for a little bit, you don't deserve to be an artist. You don't deserve to win anything. If you're making music and you can't handle that, you shouldn't. Now, I'm not saying people get a free pass to go saying whatever they want.
Yeah, bullying isn't, bullying isn't a thing. I think, bullying will exist forever. But I get where you're coming from. Like, you put your life on display
for the world,
not just a couple of your friends, not for just not some
people you approved on Facebook. You added, you're out there on a global stage.
Everybody knows who you are,
and you're gonna get mad that people are saying trash. You don't deserve it. No, and to the point where you're like, well, I'm just deleting it. Like, dude, listen, I understand cyberbullying to the extent of you're telling someone to kill themselves and you see them every day and you're harassing them. All right, cool. But if you're not going to meet any of these people and they're calling you trash, just get away. Just close the app. You don't have to delete it. You can just literally ignore it.
You don't even have to delete the app. Just don't read comments. Just post your pictures. Still live your life the way that you want to live your life.
Check this nifty little feature out. So there's a button on the phone called the home button. Watch. See how Facebook's up right now? Mm-hmm. Where'd Facebook go?
It disappeared.
It's gone. And it's like, you don't have to pay attention to it. I'm just saying, so with that being said, I believe Daytona was Album of the Year. I'm not salty about that. I am salty about the fact that if you win an award for your art, be happy you won your award.
And it's not good as some of the other projects that were released at the same time. Like okay, it's like it'd be no different than if the producers of any movie who have ever won an Academy Award that were like, oh yeah, you shouldn't have won that award. You were, they pandered to you. They did something. The Academy did something to make sure that you won that award to shut a vast majority of the people up, right? It'd be like them getting all of these negative comments and just being like, well, I'm still an Academy Award winning director or producer and blah blah. It's like, dude, no one gives a shit.
Yeah,
Make a new album. Cares. Everyone will forget in 2 months.
Honestly, because that's just how the news works, man. Someone's going to do something else that's going to outdo you anyway. And so, that's actually funny because I want to say it was Jimmy Fallon who was hosting the movie awards. And then that little dancey sing-along movie won Movie of the Year.
La La Land?
Yeah, that's it. And then he realized, he was like, oh, oops, you didn't win Movie of the Year. Moonlight won Movie of the Year. If you haven't seen Moonlight, I love it. Fantastic little drama about black kid who grows up in the pretty much urban society of Miami, but he grows up being gay and black, so he has like a double struggle. It's a really cool movie, awesome. If you want to check it out, great. But if you don't, whatever, I don't care. I'm segueing. Essentially, and that happened, and let me tell you, my man Steve Harvey did the same thing with the pageant.
Yeah, with the Miss Universe.
Did he delete his social media?
Hell no. Steve Harvey went up to the NFL Honors Award ceremony and roasted everybody. It was one of the funniest opening monologues I've ever seen.
You see, and people weren't like, it may have been an awkward experience at first, but you know what Steve Harvey did? He understood. I am an artist. I present people with comedy. This is a fluke. I'm not getting the treatment I deserve, but you know what? I'm going to embrace it, and I'm going to be better from it. And look at the dude. He's still mad famous and rich and happy.
I will say, I'm just going to play devil's advocate with that. Mm-hmm. Just on the whole, okay, so let's take Steve Harvey and Jimmy Fallon, right?
Uh-huh.
Them, aside from hosting those event shows, are comedians.
Right.
Now let's take Cardi B, right? Cardi B, I'm not saying Cardi B does not have a sense of humor. I'm not saying that, she's a she doesn't understand comedy or like how funny certain situations are.
Right.
But I think in the grand scheme of things, Jimmy Fallon and Steve Harvey are better equipped to deal with those situations because they'll be able to at least make jokes about it and kind of laugh it off with everybody else.
Right.
Whereas Cardi B, who is, I think the way she's handling this is a product of the way she got famous, where it was all of a sudden I release this one track and I blow up just like that, kind of like with Post Malone, but except for Post Malone, I think can meme with the best of them. Post Malone is just gonna do whatever Post Malone wants because Post Malone doesn't care, and his fan base is one of the most loyal fan bases out there. But I think with the hip hop audience. In the grand scheme of things, and the way that Cardi blew up, and just who she is, like her personality type, I think the combination of all of those things is kind of what set that off, with her being like, I can't deal with this, because I would say that this is probably her first moment of real quote-unquote travesty within her career, where she's having to deal with all of these people saying, you don't deserve that. You shouldn't be glad that you won that award.
And the thing is, with that, she should take it with a grain of salt. You are in hip hop. She's a tough cookie. I've seen it. She can deal with she rolls with the best of them.
Yeah,
and Nicki, the whole fight, the whole queen of hip hop thing.
So there's that, and then the whole thing between her and Offset,
and that's out in the open. She's like, it is what it is. And you're telling me she wasn't getting harassed for taking it back?
Yeah.
Probably. And I don't listen. She's a tough cookie. All I'm saying is, you're an artist. You should be able to deal with the fact that you're putting this out and people aren't going to like it. It might not be the most ideal thing, but just ignore it. You're doing your thing. Who cares? And not to discredit the album, but Daytona was the real album of the year.
As far as I'm concerned, I don't know anything about which album should have been album of the year. Just because for me, I think the last time I predicted what album should be album of the year.
You predicted Post Malone's, is it Beer Bongs and Bentleys? Is that what it's called?
Yeah, I think that probably was what it was, and that was probably a day after that album was released.
And it's all a preference too, like what you personally like. Just given what I saw, and I'm like, okay, this like you and I are just bad at predicting things. Example, we couldn't even predict who was going to win the Super Bowl with the last two teams in their playoff division. So we're like, oh yeah, these teams are going to win. We were wrong.
That's fair. I think the closest I've ever come to predicting anything ever, was when the Houston Astros were in the World Series. And I was like, yeah, the Houston Astros are not only going to win the World Series, but they'll win it in 5 games.
Yeah. And
I think if I remember correctly, I want to say it went to 6 games. I think that World Series ended up going to the 7th game. But I remember the moment Houston won, I was like, dude, I got half of a prediction right.
You were close.
And I was
remember that.
damn close.
I was there on Facebook, and I said, you're probably right. Because I was like, you I'm not into the baseball, and you
neither am I.
But you have more of a grip on that sport. The only grip I have is throw the ball, hit the ball, catch the ball. That's it. I don't even know what teams exist. I know Yankees, Rockies. Is Cardinals one? Is that one?
There is a Cardinals in the MLB.
So I'm getting it. But the other thing I want to talk about hip hop related is Sir Savage. I was not an English accent at all. But if you didn't hear, 21 Savage, he's a rapper, was detained by ICE for extending his visa stay. He came over when he was young. But as of today, as of this recording, old boy has been released by ICE. And the thing that I want to talk about that is, I want to bring it back to people deleting their accounts.
Mm-hmm.
A famous, and it brings back Disney too. We can end it on this. This is going to bring everything full circle, just like that's how we love it. Demi Lovato had made a joke, I guess, or talking about the memes about 21 Savage. He was being deported, so of course a lot of memes come out because that's just a society we live in.
Mm-hmm.
Meteor could come for Earth, and they'd put the crying Jordan on Earth, and that would be a meme. Come on, that's just the way it is. Now, what had happened is she had posted something about the joke, and a rapper had then took to Twitter to retweet at Demi Lovato. I'm not sure what rapper this was. I don't want to look it up right now either.
Yeah, I can't remember.
It's a lot. But he then pointed out that Demi is a heroin addict recovering and has no business joking about people's suffering. And guess what Demi Lovato did with her Twitter after seeing that?
You would honestly, she deleted her. Obviously, she deleted her Twitter, and probably got rid of her Instagram for a little bit or whatever. Mm-hmm. But you would think that someone who is in Demi Lovato's position would have deleted her account when all of those rehab memes started coming out when everyone found out that she OD'd.
And that's what I'm saying.
As a human, I believe that you do have the right to pick and choose what battles you participate in and which ones you don't.
But when do you decide, whatever.
That's too much. Now you're
Wait a minute. You personally, a celebrity, called me a celebrity out for roasting another celebrity. And it must just be a whole upper echelon thing. You peons make jokes, I'm making money. He's making money, he's roasting me. Uh-oh.
And it could be, and I don't, and I just, and again, it's one of those things. I definitely think that, you, again, have the right to pick and choose. That's who, if that's who you want to be known as, is someone who's I'm going to puss out from this one, but I'm definitely joining in on this one.
Right.
And I understand that it's not like she was picking sides, saying oh good, I'm glad that 21 Savage is getting deported.
She was just posting about the meme, but she got called out and then by another celebrity, and I think that's
it's one of those things. It just makes no sense to me. It's
I don't have that kind of money to.
I have no idea. I don't. Maybe it's just once you get more money, you just get stupid or something.
I mean, it's happened, man. You see people who, they're very smart people, but once they get a little money, it goes to their head. The money stacks, the IQ drops.
Something. I think something about being, and it's it's one of those things. I'm not saying that all rich people are stupid or people who are obviously well off are stupid, but I think that there's a certain level where the amount of money that you make directly affects. Look, I understand that you are a huge Kanye West fan, right?
I am. For those of you that don't know, I am a very, I can't say Advent fan. I'm one of those hardcore Kanye West fans.
Kanye West could kill Jesus, and this guy would be like, good on you, Kanye. Thanks, Kanye. Very cool. Anyway, I understand that, obviously with you being a huge Kanye fan, and obviously that I roast you about that pretty regularly, that is a person who obviously is at the peak of his life. Maybe not necessarily anymore in 2019. I would say his real peak, I think, is in terms of him not necessarily being a celebrity or being, how big he was in the rap game. I would say just as a person and as his personality, I would say the whole Taylor Swift thing is when Kanye peaked.
I would say 2009, 2010, because My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy came out.
Right. I would say right there, that was probably the peak of his career.
Right.
Somehow, some way, Kanye has still managed to make billions of dollars. Not billions, but obviously he's found a way.
A lot of money.
A lot of money.
He has a fashion company valued at a couple billion.
Yeah, and so it's just one of those. And this is no dig on Kanye whatsoever, but he is a prime example of what money and a fucking trophy wife will do to you. Again, the guy is entitled to his opinions. I do not care what his opinions are. It's what makes him him. But at the same time, he's kind of like Donald Trump in the sense that, like, he'd be a lot cooler if he would just shut up for 6 months. Just tweet once every 6 months and being like, "Hey guys, I'm still alive." That's it.
Just like I'm doing something.
I'm doing this. These are the projects that I have slated. These are the release dates, hopefully, for said projects. This is who I'm working with. Blah blah blah.
Which is actually funny that you bring that up because the other guy in news, and we can end it on this, I promise. Soulja Boy, he back up in there. He was talking a lot of that mess about Drake, Tyga, and all that. And he said something about Kanye, and so he actually got a little worried because Kanye's been quiet.
Yeah.
He hasn't said anything, and he's like, "Why hasn't Kanye said anything?" You're like, honestly, I think Kanye's just taking a minute to be like, I need to step back for a minute and work on this music because as a Kanye fan, there's an album he said he was going to drop a while ago, and it has not yet come out, but he's working on it, and at least that's what I'm hoping. Kanye, if you hear this, I love you.
The day that Kanye West listens to our podcast, I think that's when we finally know that we've made it.
Bro, we're going to have him on here, dude, and he's going to tell us, you ain't got the answers, B. I'm like,
I'm going to be like, Mr. West, I don't want the answers. I just...
Mr. West, I don't have the answers, and he'll be like, "You can't tell me nothing."
And I'll be like, "Yeah, you're right. You're very right, sir."
I didn't tell you anything. He's like, "You're right."
I said hello. The podcast just started, Mr. West.
They said I was the abomination of Obama's nation. I'm like, who said that?
I'd be like, who are you? What's going on right now,
Mr. West? What dimension have you?
I was gonna say, what dimension are you living in at all times?
And with that, B.
With that,
song of the week, a new little thing we think we can start doing.
A new little thing. Originally, when we were talking about starting this podcast, I think we were gonna do, what was it, like? I think it was just like a podcast, or not a podcast of the day, a song of the day. So it was just gonna be like a song that we thought that you could like vibe out to or whatever on the day that the podcast had come out. But really looking at it, especially with doing one episode a week, we kind of ran back on the idea that maybe we should just do one song per week and just have it be the song of the week, just as something again you guys can vibe with, just kind of like find out what kind of music we're into. As a disclaimer, it's going to be a lot of hip-hop.
And don't worry, rock and maybe some country. And if you don't like country, that's fine. It's not for you. We're trying to expand, like, hey, this is the song of the week.
Like, this is a song that we can, jam out to.
And I believe I can speak for both of us when I say that this song of the week just kind of came out of nowhere.
Yeah, it was a little...
At a drive-through.
it was a little too crazy. Definitely, if you're one of those people who likes to go to the gym, definitely a good song to get going, lifting the weights or running or whatever.
A total banger.
Definitely a banger. I would definitely put it on like not maybe like a top 10, but like probably a top 100 of bangers if I had to pick one.
And definitely a workout playlist. You got your creatine going, you're gonna want to hear this. So this is off of if you've seen the movie Creed 2, and they may have played it. I haven't seen the movie yet. Heard good things about it, but it's from the soundtrack for Creed 2. The song is called Runnin'. It's produced by Mike Will Made It, featuring A$AP Rocky, A$AP Ferg, and Nicki Minaj.
And again, for me, I can't personally overstate how hard this song goes, especially at the gym, because so lyrically it's okay, not the greatest thing ever by any stretch of the imagination. I think what it is it's the combination of both A$AP Rocky and A$AP Ferg, just like their voice.
Even Nicki coming with some fuego out of nowhere. She's talking about just breaking people in half pretty much. This song, it was made for a movie about boxing from the ground up. The son of Apollo Creed, you got A$AP in there. A$AP Rocky, full circle.
And on top of that, the beat is it goes pretty goddamn hard.
And Rocky's hook, it's just, check it out, Runnin' by Mike Will Made It, featured A$AP Rocky, A$AP Ferg, Nicki Minaj. That is the song of the week.
All right, sweet. Thanks everybody for listening and tuning in. Again, you can reach us on Twitter at Bruise
Bros Pod.
that's it. There's no
had
numbers. I had to kind of think about it.
I had to look it up 5 times just to make sure we set it up properly.
Yeah, I couldn't remember if there was a Brews and Bros.
And then we'll probably get a Patreon set up soon. We have our SoundCloud set up, the Brews and Bros podcast. And then on top of that, we'll have a YouTube coming at you guys real soon as well. Probably a merch store, which is some stupid stuff we say. Put on a t-shirt. And if you want to wear that, great.
Yeah,
But if not, you know what? We'll still have it for the sake that we just want to do something dumb and creative and just vibe out, make fat stacks.
Yeah, for sure. Again, you leave a comment onto SoundCloud for sure. Once we get the YouTube set up, that I think it'll be a little bit easier to get your guys' feedback. There's the Twitter as well. I don't feel like doing an Instagram because, obviously with it being picture based, I think it's a little too wild.
Especially with we're still up and coming, so we don't want to bore you with a studio apartment.
We don't want to flood the market with social media just at this moment. So, but yeah, obviously feedback is welcome. We're not going to delete anything because we're not pansies.
Yeah, man, I might have to take a break from Twitter for like a month after
this. especially if the reviews on this particular podcast are kind of too much. I might have to just delete my life or something.
Yeah, I'll have to take a break from you for a minute.
Yeah, this whole once a week thing is too much for me, man. But all right. Catch you guys.
See y'all on the flip. Is that what they say?
Something like that.
All right. Whatever. Just where's the end button? Click that, and that's how we'll end it.
All right.
It's just gonna end. I don't care if I'm talking.